What's going on, Vintage Gamers? Donation deck list. This time, Mark H asked to see some aggro shops, which is cool. We don't play too much aggro shops on this channel just because it's not really my thing. But it's not a deck that I don't enjoy playing. It's just a deck that I find, could use a tinker. um, I took the recently performing list that everybody is using and just made a few changes. Basically, the only changes I made were swapping unlicensed Hearsts out. I'll be honest, the big reason is I don't have any unlicensed Hearsts, and they're like 30 tickets for some reason. The other reason, though, is because I haven't felt unlicensed Hearst has been performing in these lists from the testing that I've done and the matches I've played against it. The card that I felt was doing the best was actually the reintroduction of Walking Ballista. And when you reintroduce Walking Ballista, there's a pretty high incentive to reintroduce more Ravagers. This list was playing 2 Ravager, 2 unlicensed Hearst, so I'm just going to go back up to 4 Ravager. The biggest problem with Ravager is that it plays like not great with Nettlecyst, right? Not great with Urza Saga, but like it plays so well with Walking Ballista that I don't think that's a huge issue. So I kind of really like the look of this list, having just 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, restricted, 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 and then a ginger brute. It's really focused on getting the opponent dead, which is something I enjoy. So the other thing is this list had a bunch of 1-drop, Saga tutors that are good against the graveyard, whereas I don't know. I think Leyline is just like the strongest, de facto, most powerful, and it comes into play before the game starts so that you don't get murdered by a pile of Vengevines on turn 0, right? So that's how I kind of view it. So yeah, we're going to play pretty stock Ravager shops in the year 2022 and see what we can do with it. I think that this deck is fine. You need to, be aware that people, the community will tell you that this deck is good. People in this community will tell you that this deck is unplayable. The the truth is somewhere usually in the middle. And Ravager Shops is a deck that floats, around 50% win rate. So something you can choose to play. Maybe not something that is going to put you in the best, most advantageous position to win. But Mishra's Workshop is a broken card for sure. Let's battle.
Exciting news, everyone. I have just launched a new Patreon. There, you can show support for my content, grab additional weekly metagame recommendations, and even submit a donation deck list. Donation deck lists are the most frequently asked question on my channel, and I feel I am now ready to support this new content. Please check out the rules for submissions on the Patreon link in the description, and thank you for your continued support of my channel. Let's battle.
All right, we're jumping in right in round 1. Things you're looking for in your workshop's hand are, interaction and fast plays. This hand obviously is in need of 1 Moxen. A single Moxen here lets you do something like Patrick Automaton, play a land, play a sphere, which is a really, really solid start. Or even something like Foundry Inspector, play a Moxen, play a sphere. But in general, we have a workshop, we have a sphere, we have, creatures, so I think this is fine, especially with a Wasteland follow-up. So Strip Mine follow-up even. This hand totally seems reasonable. Like I said, if we draw Moxen, I think this hand is starts to be put into the a high tier. Nettlecyst, huh? What do I want to do with this then? My typical shops. My typical shops experience says put the sphere in play. The problem with putting the sphere in play is it puts us so far behind that I don't really feel like we're going to be able to claw our way back. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to play Workshop Foundry Inspector pass, which is not ideal. But at least this sets us up for a powerful turn 2 if we get to untap. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like this is definitely a risky play, but it's a play that has a high reward. So. But, of course, if my opponent cracks and plays a Vampiric Tutor and Doomsdays us, then we look silly. Basic Island is not a bad sign, though. It's interesting that they would crack for Basic Island and then... But on my turn for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, it is Doomsday. So, here's the deal. I think that Aggro Shops has a positive matchup against Doomsday. The data seems to trend that way. I do think that it is because Aggro Shops has a lot of cards that mess up Doomsday's heuristics, and if you're not an extremely competent Doomsday pilot, you end up falling prey to, you know, oh, there's a sphere in play, so I need to make a pass the turn pile, but then they drew a second wasteland, that kind of thing. So I'm not 100% sure on like if you played Discover End in the matchup, is Aggro Shops truly favored at the highest level, but in general, for us plebeians, plebs, a matchup you shouldn't be too unhappy to see. And we even have archive traps on the board, which is crazy. So here we have two nice things. We have a sphere and we have strip mine. So I want to play 3 2-drops and a strip mine. Actually, I want to play strip mine and then 3 2-drops probably. The thing is, I'd like to use the strip mine on this island, but the underground sea is so much more important because of black mana. I think I just have to let them have an island in play. I would just much rather hit their black source than, like, if I had another wasteland in hand, then maybe it's different, but I guess there's like not a huge reason to hit this first. I guess there's days, right? Okay, I'm gonna do strip mine, your underground sea. I guess if they have fatal push in their main, that would be bad, but I don't think that's a thing, right? And then I'm gonna go. I mean, I should do this after attacks, but I don't care. I'm gonna do. They don't have a tapped mana, so I'm gonna go patchwork. Ravager, sphere. Okay, my patchwork got forced. It's good for us because the sphere is much more powerful. Ravager, sphere. Yeah, like obviously I don't want to strip mine their underground sea. I want to strip mine their basic island, but I think that would be incredibly greedy. The underground sea is very important. All right, so now like we're out of threat of being just murdered, I think. And we have a small clock in play. Like our best draw is definitely Wasteland or Second Sphere. I mean, besides things like Lodestone or Return to Sphere, that kind of thing. Okay. So everything is cost neutral again. Okay, so we're just gonna go Ravager. And then I think I'm just gonna go with, this is 5, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nettle Cyst Equip. This way they have to win the game next turn. And I can't increase that damage by anything because anytime well, actually, if I had sacked Ravager, that would have increased it by 1, by 2, down 1. So that actually would have been +1. What the heck? They went to 1 life to go get a Watery Grave? What's happening? Interesting. Do they not have any underground seas? I don't understand. Why would you get a Watery Grave? That's kind of mind-boggling. Okay, so I actually do think I was supposed to, normally if you sack something to a Ravager and you have a Nettle Cyst, it is a net 0. But because I have a Ravager to sack to a Ravager, I also have a modular. So I might have been able to get 1 more damage. Sorry about that. Hope that didn't come through too loud. Okay. Doomsday. We have archives and Mindbreak traps. That's kind of exciting. This is all creature artifact. I just like. There are nothing to revoke, right? Just polluted deltas. I mean, revoking polluted delta isn't terrible. Oh, I guess you can revoke Street Wraith as well. I don't know. Kind of feels like it's just an easy take the revokers out and keep the things that aggro, like, or that are quick clocks. But I guess this hits like Lotus, and that might screw up their piles. I don't know. I like the idea of all these fast clock things, but maybe it's just like a ballista doesn't really make any sense. But I guess if you're trimming ballista, the Ravager gets a lot worse. Maybe what we do is we trim half the ballistas, half the Ravagers. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if that's right. I have no idea if that's right, actually. Yeah, my whole house is just making sounds right now. I think this is playable. It's going to cover like a really bad play with Trap, and it's going to have, you know, Wasteland. Yeah, I mean, this looks fine to me. Obviously, we have too much mana. But the 3 cards we do have are pretty strong. If our opponent passes the turn with a Black Lotus, we have the option to go like Workshop Revoker, which I like. We have Wasteland. We have, you know, if an opponent has turn 1 Doomsday, we actually have counterplay, which is really nice. Excuse me. Still kind of recovering from whatever the heck that little cold was. I kind of want people to not tag me anymore in these win trader things. It gets me kind of depressed. Vintage leagues are not in a great state right now. All right, so we resolve this Doomsday. Once they go for a cantrip, we archetype trap them, and if they don't have a force or a daze, we win. And if they do, we lose, which is fine because we would have nothing if we had no archive trap. So obviously, this is your average Doomsday hand. Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, turn 1 kill. Yep, cycle on the stack. Hit him with the archive trap. Do you have a counter spell? Nope. Workshop's too good. God bless. Edge of Autumn, huh? That's nice. Very, very fun. All right, we got a battler. This, on the other hand, is not going to be a good matchup. Our opponent across the table is the Italian PO Master. Usually on an Esper Saga version. I like this hand, though. This hand is fine. I like the combination of a Thorn plus a way to restrict PO's mana rocks. That makes for a pretty strong hand in my book. Of course, they didn't play a mana rock, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. I'm going to sequence this in the same way anyways. Oh, my Soul Ring is getting forced. Okay. Well, now I can hold my Revoker for another play. It's an interesting force. It's pretty aggressive. I think now I'll definitely wait to see if my opponent has a mana rock I can hit. If I had to play Revoker there, you're looking at naming Black Lotus or Mox Opal. Mox Opal's a little rough because they haven't played anything yet, but it also is their most likely to play. Saga could be pretty annoying. Definitely would like... Does a Time Walk? Oh, it's a Soul Guide Lantern, sure. I'd like to see a Wasteland for that. Would be ideal. Workshop's not a bad draw either. Especially seeing as my Nettlesist costs 4, so now I can Revoker and Nettlesist. Which is what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to get a clock going. And Nettlesist is really strong, seeing as I have a whole Mox in hand. I think I'm going to revoke a Lotus. It just makes the most sense from this board position. Could revoke a Mana Crypt as well. Kind of like revoking Lotus, though. All right, so if they have a land drop, they can make a 2/2 construct. That's not the end of the world. I have at least a 3/3 ballista too, so I could even mow it down. Would I rather make a 2/2 ballista, lose my ballista? That's kind of an interesting one to get a patchwork automaton trigger. Yeah. No. I can't even pump my ballista though. But it is an extra point in play. Okay, I'm gonna just play a 3/3 ballista. I don't know if that's correct. That one I feel like I could sit and maybe think about for a little longer, but jam. I'm jamming. All right, so they're making, yeah, 2/2. So I will attack with both. If they want to make a 2/2, I will kill it and make sure I get in here. Yeah, 2/2. Pew. And pew. I guess that's pretty similar, but yeah, I mean, they're at 9. They have to make another construct to block unless they find Hurkyl's Recall. Exactly. They might have one Hurkyl's Recall in their deck. Pretty normal for a PO. Full 5 games set this morning from Phoenix. Okay, it looks like they're going to choose to not do such a thing. I assume this is going to get them a Mana Crypt then, or maybe a Mana Vault. Yep, Mana Vault. All right, so what do you have for us here? You have 4, 5, 6 mana. Oh, you just have Vault Key. I mean, okay, no, you have make a bunch of mana with your key. That makes sense. Okay, sure. Ancestral, okay, but you now have 4 colorless mana, so they can make a 4/4 and chump and live. So that works out for them. All in all, this is not terrible for them. The good news is we do have at least threatening lethal. Okay. So automaton. I guess this is like not respecting Hurkyl's, but the way I'm doing this is not respecting Hurkyl's. But I want to just like make sure that this is going to be lethal. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if they have Hurkyl's here, obviously I look really silly, right? But looks like they have Mystic plus make a thing. Okay, so they're going to get a Hurkyl's off of this Mystical Tutor. Yeah, but they can't, they could draw into it, but they can't cast it, so they have to make a Saga token, which is going to chump block this Nettle Cyst. Yeah, I mean, not much we can do about it, right? We are, unfortunately, the shop side of a PO matchup, which, as long as you respect the power of workshops as a PO player, then you can beat it. Like having the main deck Hurkyl's. Damn, this is actually an unfortunate situation where if we had a Ravager instead of a automaton, we would actually just win the game on the spot. You know, better against different things. All right, so my opponent gets to get a Hurkyl's here, and they're gonna untap this. So the Hurkyl's cost 4, but they have 4. They can't make a construct though. That's good. So basically, my opponent has to win the game after a Hurkyl's here, which is pretty doable. I'm going to let the ballista go to my hand, so I'm just going to let this happen and see if we die. So how do I lose this game? Just PO? They don't have the best. I guess we like PO into Vault Key is how we lose this game. Yeah, I mean, Hercule's Recall is quite good against workshops. So it's going to be Yogwill. Yogwill, Lotus, Ancestral, Mystical. Okay, so I think we lose. Well, that doesn't technically... Yeah, it does technically win because of replay, Saga, Tinker. Well, Tinker... Yeah, Tinker. Replay, Saga. Oh, no, this is... tapped. That's interesting. So maybe... Oh, no, they can Hercules themselves. Okay, so this should be winning here. What they can do is Hercules themselves, and then they go Mana Vault, Mystical for Tinker, Ancestral, and then Tinker. Yep. Oh, they didn't do it. I'm not wrong, am I? I think they had Deterministic Lethal there. Now they don't. Well, they still have Lantern actually, so they still have tap, Hercules themselves, replay everything, Mystical, Crack, Tinker, Vault Key. See if they find it. Yep, looks like they found it. Nice. Strong player. Yeah, I appreciate this player. I think they do pretty well. I wonder if I could have optimized that game better to get a win. Tough to say. All right, let's bring in some Mindbreak Traps. I'm not really like thrilled about Mindbreak Trap in the PO matchup, but I think it's fine. Surprising that this needle is not in the main. I kind of like having the one needle in the main, but I think I'll just take out some automatons. I kind of think they're worse than Reg Ravage or Ballista in this matchup. Just because of like PO players should be having at least 3 Hercules recalls post board, where you can do some good things with Ballista and Ravager that make it so it's awkward to play Hercules recall. What the heck is that thing called? Angel of the Ruins. And Ruin Grinder. Some interesting things happening on the Discord. Cool place to be. Definitely check that out. I can find the link in my Twitter pin tweet. You can find all the links there. Many, many links. No good at this hand. We don't have any null rods, so we're basically looking for a hand that's like sphere, wasteland, and a clock. This hand does not have a really substantial clock, but I actually think we put back Nah, we can probably just put back Ginger Root and go. I want to go like Ancient Tomb, Sphere, Saga. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is too many lands. I mean, the problem is all these other cards are just bad. Maybe this hand is just like not even close to good enough, and I have to mulligan this one as well. Like the PO player, all they have to do is like go fetch basic, blow out, just play a bunch of Moxen, paying for each of themselves. It's a tough matchup for the aggro shop side for sure. That's a good draw. I like that draw. I wonder if I just play it on 2. I can't really do that. That costs 5 mana. All right. I guess I will just play it on 1. On 0 and 0. Plays really poorly into Hercules, unfortunately. Well, not really poorly, but it just doesn't do anything against Hercules. It's really tough to put it on 2 in the matchup, though, because, I mean, my deck is a 2-drop deck. What is this? Gonna be a mystical? Oh, brainstorm. Sure. Sure. Yep. This looks bad for me. I'm just gonna lose a saga battle. I haven't seen any wastelands, which is our best option against Ursa Saga. Kind of just how it happens, right? My opponent's drawn, 3 or 4 more sagas than I've drawn wastelands. It wasn't really that Saga was good enough to beat my aggressive draw in game 1, but it was that Saga was good enough to buy them time to find a Hercules recall, right? Which is enough. It's possible that game 1 maybe I could have had a better Revoker or something like that. That would have maybe pushed me through. But if I had named Mana Vault, he would have just gotten Mana Crypt. If I had named, instead of Black Lotus, maybe they would have just gotten Black Lotus. Maybe Mana Vault was, I don't know. Oh, they just already found one? Okay. Oh, boy. Well, I'm hoping they throw off like a payoff spell at the end of this, like a Tinker. Doesn't look like they're going to, though. It's kind of unfortunate. Was hoping there would be a Tinker at the end of that, just so I could actually get value off this Mindbreak Trap. I should be fine to make another construct here. I have a lot of mana. If they don't needle, I think I'm just gonna needle Saga. Maybe I'll just needle top. Actually, maybe I'll just needle top. Should be able to beat their Saga token. Oh boy. Okay, so I think we just play everything. Maybe I'm supposed to play the Tolarian there so I can hold up Mindbreak Trap hard cast. I didn't really consider that. It's just 5 mana. So I could play a 2/2 Walking Ballista and then a Sphere for 1. Yeah, I mean, I think... What the heck? I think I would rather just... Is this... X is currently 2. What the... Okay. It should cost 1 less, right? Oh, I'm miscounting. You're right. Oh, I'm bad. I guess I still, yeah, I don't know. I have other options here, which involve like not playing this and maybe holding up Hardcast Trap for 5 mana. It's really an interesting idea. Maybe I should have done that. Are they not going to make a Saga token? Maybe they're just going to make a Saga token, untap, and Hercles me again, and I have no counterplay, I guess. What is this? Oh, they just have a Hercles. Oh. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe I had an interesting line with Hardcast Trap that I just didn't respect enough. It seems like it could be the case. Can't imagine we win this game then. But I had the option to do it. I probably should have just done it. So I think the way I do that is instead of playing an Inspector, I play a Sphere, and then I play a Tolarian and pass. And then when they go to Hercules, I just Mind Break Trap it for 5 full mana. Assuming I had enough mana. I think I did. Oh, yeah. That's bad for me. They only have 2 cards left, though. So it's possible I can Ballista this down. Ancestral is their second spell. Yeah, I mean... It's pretty good. I can't imagine we could possibly ever win this game. I don't know. This matchup is really rough. I've always really, really enjoyed it from the PO side of the table. Am I allowed to trap this one? I guess so. No, they have a needle for Ballista. Yeah. That's pretty bad. I feel like if it wasn't Ancestral, we would have been in an okay spot, but... Alright, well... I don't think this game is over. They have a Mana Crypt. We have, like, Nettle Cysts, Ginger Brutes in our deck. I'm not really willing to concede, per se. Maybe I should have just let the top resolve and, like, Chaliced on 1, or needled it, or something. Because now what is my needle really doing anyways? I mean, like, I'm still going to name... I don't know. Sensei's top anyways, right? Maybe I just want to try to avoid the Ancient Tombs here. Yeah, I'm just gonna... I don't really think I like the idea of playing a Ballista that much here. I have no way to get rid of this, really, so... What am I really playing for? I guess there's no Mystic Forge in this deck, right? Alright, that's good enough for me. Just another Hercules Recall or anything. Yeah, I think there's like somewhere in game 2, if I just maybe choose to hold up Hardcast Mindbreak Trap, I have a chance. That could have been an interesting play. Not something that comes up very often, so I didn't really think about it, but it definitely was a playable option. Tough matchup. You gotta have really good hands. Okay, round 3. Let's see what we got. This is a solid hand for sure. Bunch of restricted cards. I like restricted cards. What's our sequencing look like here? Our sequencing might look something like... Ooh, gross. Well, we don't have a wasteland, which makes this bad for us. Though, an automaton and a lowstone could be good if it's It's Dredge. Alright. Well, the good news is once we play our lowstone, my opponent can't cast spells. The bad news is we don't have a wasteland, so we're dying. We also have no main board saga fetchables. So there's nothing like that. So I guess we are just going to go with the biggest and most powerful plays we can make, which is a very large automaton. Followed by a golem. This does play into Mindbreak Trap, obviously. Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense to put this on. I guess we can put it on 1, but then I can't play Lodestone, so I'm just gonna play this as 0. We don't really need any more zeros this game anyways. All right, so we got our Lodestone Forest. So all we have is a 6/6 automaton against a dredging shambling shell. Wait, they chose to keep their hand. Okay, so they probably have a second Bazaar in their hand, I would assume. No? Maybe? No other Dredger here, so they have to put a Dredger back in their yard. They hit triple Dredger here. Okay, no second Bazaar. I think this game is still winnable with a Wasteland off the top. That probably does not make it very winnable. All right, this game looks real rough. I guess maybe there's like some chance that a Ravager draw gets us there. Oh, they have another force. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, this is probably game then. We just have to have a Wasteland. We've drawn 0 Wastelands. Well, we had one strip mine in round 1. Wasteland is kind of the... Can I say that? Can I say Wasteland's the most important card in this deck? It's probably not a true statement. Wasteland is a super broken card because it actually is good enough to help you beat the other super broken lands in the format. Good God. Yeah, we got wrecked. There's a reason 60% of the decks in the 60% of decks in the format play Wasteland. You either are a combo deck or you're a Wasteland deck in 2022. That's just kind of how it is, right? Because if you're not a combo deck or a Wasteland deck, then how do you ever beat Bazaar of Baghdad? Bazaar of Baghdad is just too good at this point in the game to not be either killing the Bazaar opponent with your combo or to be Wastelanding their Bazaar Baghdad. Anyways, Chalice is pretty bad. Leyline and these cards are coming in to help us out here. Revoker is obviously atrocious. Doesn't hit Bazaar, so very useless. I don't know about a Ginger Brute. This whole Ginger Brute thing is interesting, but I'm not 100% sure it's doing enough. Don't really feel like I need a Crucible. 1 Wasteland is usually enough. Kind of like the idea of maybe some Worm Coils, though. So what if I just get rid of... I still like Spheres because they don't let the opponent cast forces. What if we take out like Ginger Brute and then... Is Patchwork Automaton better or worse than Ballista Ravager? It's not like opponent's playing bridge from below anymore. If I just trim, just do a little bit of trimming. I don't know the answer, so. All right, let's try again. This one's not good enough. Looking for a hand with Leyline Wasteland if possible. Here is Leyline Sphere. Wow. This is an interesting one. I'm gonna keep it to try it. I don't know. Man, I don't really know where we're gonna go. Like, if they have a Vigor right away, we are dead, right? We will just lose on the spot, but I don't really feel like I want a second ball. I guess if they have force for the first ball. All right, I have a late line. Unfortunately, our land is Urza's Saga, so it's even worse for us if opponent has the Vigor. So they can just Vigor right here and we just lose on the spot. Not much I can do about it, though. That's just what we have. But if it resolves, Urza Saga is quite good, right? Like, if we don't get our Vigor, then obviously we get to go search for, like, a Needle or something crazy, right? But we didn't get Vigor right away. That's a good thing. The problem is opponent is now going to Bazaar looking for, you know, Hollow Ones or Vigors. Unfortunately, even if we had a Sphere, it wasn't going to stop Hollow One. The reason is they discard 3 cards, which makes Hollow One cost 6 less, and Hollow One only costs 5. Not a great one for us. All right, didn't have a Hollow One. We kind of need a mana source. That is better than a mana source. Actually, I think I'm just going to jam a Trinisphere. That kind of seems even better than Wastelanding here. That's probably game. If it resolves, I should say. All right, that's not that big a deal. I don't think another Bazaar activation is like the end of the world here with Leyline have been in play. This is going to put them down to 2 cards. Like, they're probably going to look for, I don't even know, like a Hollow One, but we should be able to beat a Hollow One with a Construct, right? So I think they have to find exactly green card Vigor, hit my Saga and my Leyline and my upkeep. I make a... Maybe I don't make a Construct because I just Wasteland them. A little hard to say. So they find it? Oh, they did find it. Wow. So do I want to Wasteland? Yeah, I think I just hit Wasteland now, and that leaves them on nothing, and it leaves us on nothing, but their nothing is a lot worse than our nothing, so... And I wanted to do it before it resolved so that it would get exiled so they couldn't Noxious Revival it. Alright, so I mean, we have to draw mana and play our spells, but they have to draw exactly Bazaar of Baghdad, so... It's a lot better for us. That was an interesting game. I think I'm going to play this Inspector, even though it's like lower power than maybe playing in Nettlecyst. But I kind of like that idea of... All right, this should just be game. If they draw exactly Bazaar, do we win still? Yeah, I think so. Takes time. Okay, I still like the same play here. This is fine. Interesting game. Very interesting game. Add force. All right, what do I have here? This is just strip mine into Ancient Tomb Inspector, Lodestone Worm Coil. I wonder if that's good enough. I think it actually might be. We'll see. I don't know if this hand is technically good enough, but it kind of depends on if they I mean, obviously, if they have second Bazaar, we lose. But I think if we just put them on normal dredging, even if they have a Hollow One, we have a decent backup plan to that. with 2 blockers that are good. And we're going to have 2, 3, 4. Might be mana short. We'll see. I could be convinced that this hand is like a card from being good, but I kind of want to try it, right? Feels like it's within range. So they do have Noxious Revival. All right, they do have a Hollow one and a Dredge 3 and 2 cards in hand. Workshop's a decent draw, though. I definitely want to start by stopping them from dredging. That's number 1 plan here. Stopping them from like doing a crazy amount of dredging. Obviously, they can still do some dredging. So they're going to dredge 3, and they hit no dredgers. Okay, this is good. We're in a good spot. So they have 2 cards and a dredger in their hand. We have... I'm going to go with Lodestone. The reason I'm going to go with Lodestone is because if they don't have a force now, or if their force is Vigor, then they won't be able to cast any of them. Nice. So they did have a force blue card as their last 2 cards. And they don't have creatures for this. So they have just a Dredger in hand and then their top decks. So now we should just be able to win by playing a bunch of cards. I think the answer is Automaton, Inspector. I could have just jammed a Worm Coil here. Maybe that would have been better. I don't know. I got blinded by the Automaton value. I don't know. Even this block here is good, though. So I think it's fine. Yeah, that's not going to be good enough. Like, if they attack into this, like, that's totally reasonable for us, too. That's a good draw, too. I don't even think I need to tap it. I think I can actually get away with just using the 2 life. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. That was interesting. I'll take it. All right, all right, all right. Another round of Ravager Shops. Going well so far. Deck is obviously strong. We had a real hiccup against Hurkyl's Recall, but that is par for the course. This hand is great. I mean, not great. Let's redefine. This hand is what we're looking for. We've got a clock. We've got a sphere. It's not great. It doesn't have all the best pieces, but it's got pieces. Definitely a hand where you wish this was a Saga, right? That way our clock gets shored up a little bit. What is the best sequence here? Looks like the best sequence is just Workshop Inspector. This is going to hide what we have and let us go forward. Now, the question becomes, do we want to play a 1/1 Walking Ballista? Nah, not really. So, how do you feel about Sapphire? Okay, should I play Pearl? Yeah, I don't really want it to get taxed. So, I guess it's not going to get taxed after because it's going to be net 0. So, I can do this. Not much to say. I think we do the thing. Okay, I have a lot of stuff, and then next turn I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a 3/3 Walking Ballista. I'd like something stronger than that, but so they still have access to a counter spell. Again, we just don't have any wastelands, which has been odd. Definitely a key component in this deck is restricting your opponent's mana with Sphere and Wasteland. All right, I'm definitely in here for Automaton into... I don't know why I tapped like this, but I guess 2 mana. Automaton into 2/2 Ballista. It's fine. I think it's just going to be our best looking clock. And we still have the power to pump this every turn, so not terrible, really. Looking at 3, 5, 7, representing plus, or it's 3, 5, 7, 8, plus 3 more, 11. Like, it's not lethal next turn. With a Ravager, it might be, though. Basic Island. Are we Doomsdaying again? Are we POing? What's going on, opponent? Workshop is a pretty garbage draw. Doesn't do much for us here. Good news is they can't Hercules or anything. They can probably Fatal Push or something, but we're definitely going to up this damage. 3, 6, 8 down to 9 plus 3 is 6, 5. I don't think they can Doomsday after this, right? So 3, 6, 8 puts them to 9. Fetch puts them to 8, which would put them to 4 after Doomsday. Oh, it's possible they could still Doomsday after this. I think they're on Doomsday, but not 100% sure. It may be a little greedy to go in on this. What did I choose last time? I chose to take out... What did I choose to take out? Did I trim? I'm just going to trim again. Really. Nobody can stop me. I don't know. Something like this. Maybe like this is just like not a Ginger Brute match. What is a Ginger Brute matchup actually? Now that I think about it, like I get maybe it comes off a Saga, right, and you equipped an Edelsis onto it, so like a removal matchup, like a Shattering Spree matchup, is a Ginger Brute matchup. I guess that could be the case. Yeah, I'm gonna do this trimming and board like this. Let's try it. I guess my opponent could easily be on any other kind of Tinker combo as well, but this hand's solid, does things. I accept. We actually have 5, so we can actually go Nettlesis Sphere on turn 1. Okay, so it is PO or some kind of, oh my, Tinker. So we don't want these archive traps, so we draw them. It's my fault. I apologize. All right, so now that we drew double Sphere, does that change what we want to do? I think so. I think we want to just play a sphere and see what happens, and then if it resolves, play another sphere. And if it doesn't resolve, play another sphere. Basic Island into spin, sure. Alright. So we got 2 spheres down on turn 1, which is more than I can ask for. They have a Saga. Good news is we have a Saga. Bad news is they actually have Hercules mana. Oh, the good news is we finally drew that Wasteland. So I can't play anything, but I would rather just Wasteland this Saga than be sad. So I guess I shouldn't F6 in case they like, I don't know, cast. They wish they wouldn't cast Hercules. They're only going to cast Hercules on my end step and make me sad that way. So the biggest problem with the double sphere play on turn 1 is we don't have a clock down first. But like if we don't play double sphere, we just run the risk of dying. So all right, so they did have Hercules, unfortunately. Not much we can do about it. Did they find a payoff? PO for 4. It's a pretty good payoff. Mana Crypt has got to be the single best draw there, if they didn't already have it. It's just going to really allow POs. Though they don't have an Opal or a Sapphire yet, so this is not technically chaining. So there's a possibility we get to untap here, slam some spheres, and still be okay. The possibility is slim, but it is doable. Ugh. That is a bad outcome. I will concede to another PO here for sure. This is very strong. Man, it's going to be pretty unfortunate if we play a Shops League and we just have to play against PO a bunch of times. That is not a good matchup. Okay, yeah, that's concedable. You can see how the matchup can be good, right? If PO, especially when you put like Saga and 3 colors into your deck, you end up with I'm gonna actually put this back in and take one more of these out. You end up with like some clunky draws, right? Like you could draw, oh, I drew my Teferi and my Yogwill. I mean, obviously some of those get boarded out post board, but like there's a series of clunky draws that PO can have that that shops will just win. But Hurkyl's Recall is really hard to beat. Like none of these hands are acceptable in the PO versus shops matchup. I need to have a sphere. You're just like asking to get killed if you kept any of those. I definitely want to just do... Man, I can't play Nettlesis and Sphere on the first turn, huh? I mean, I could go Saga Sphere and then... I could put Nettlesis back and play a Saga game. I could put... Like, I could go Nettlesis and Workshop back. Mox, Saga, Sphere. Untap, and I hold open Trap, Saga. It's just, like, not good. I could go... I think I still want to do that, though. Maybe this is silly. I think that's... We mulliganed a lot in this game, unfortunately. But we have a very specific needs in terms of what our hand has to be playable against PO. Maybe this is just not a playable hand against PO. It can't ever be a Hurkyl's Recall, right? I don't know. This Mind Break Trap looks really bad, too. Maybe I should have just gotten rid of the Mind Break Trap and kept something. Don't really know. Just, without, like, a strong... Like, well, this deck doesn't have any null rods, right? That's number one. That's a good draw, though. That's actually better than a Saga token here, because it's just restricting their mana. Maybe that's kind of a problem, too, is you do need to have a certain number of Revokers as well. Like, you need to be able to restrict... Basically, the way you beat a PO post board as a shops player is you don't let them have enough mana to cast circles. Or if they do cast circles, like, they can't put themselves in a position to win, right? And so you need, like, a lot of hate pieces. And you also need a lot of clock. Like, I get a Wasteland here. Didn't get a Wasteland. Do I have a needle? I didn't bring in a needle. Maybe I should have brought in a needle. I didn't really consider bringing in a needle. I brought in a needle that other time. Maybe I should have brought in a needle. I kind of just forgot that there's no needle in the main. I really would like this shops list to play one needle in the main so that you have just like something for Bazaar, really. Man, none of these are really good. Yeah. I mean, once they start making constructs, isn't this really bad for me? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe we'll sneak one with a Ginger Brute. Maybe I need to hit more mana so I can play my spells. Both of those are possible. What am I gonna get? Am I gonna get just a Soul Ring? Maybe a Soul Ring is the best choice there. This plays well with like a Nettlesis top deck, right? But I actually can't play a Nettlesis right now, so I don't know. Like theoretically, we can maybe get in with a Ginger Brute when we couldn't otherwise. I basically am like really suffering here from not keeping a 7-card hand that's playable because really need a Wasteland here, right? I just don't have a Wasteland again. Probably shouldn't F6, but no more. I mean, the fact that they don't make any Saga tokens makes me think that they just don't care about my creatures and they have a Hurkyl's Recall, right? The problem is I can't beat a Hurkyl's Recall in the situation because I don't know, you just can't ever beat that. Maybe. So there was a time where Shops players were playing Leyline of Sanctity, but I don't know. It feels a little narrow, right? It's just like it's like really tilting if you like go all in to beat Harkle's Recall and then you die to Tinker or you die to Mentor. Like there's just so many good ways for PO to beat you. You can die to Mentor, you can die to Tinker, you can die to Constructs, I guess, if you play Saga. It's really rough from the side where you don't have, you don't have tutors, you don't have blue cards, you don't have forces, you don't have anything really. Yeah, but they do always have a Tolarian Academy, apparently. Okay. I mean, this has got to be Harkle's Recall, right? Like, what else is going on here? If we drew our own Tolarian Academy there, we'd have that hard cast Mindbreak trap again, which is fun. But I guess maybe I'm supposed to, like, I'm just like super worried about Harkle's, but I guess I can't even be worried about Harkle's. Like, what am I even gonna do about it? Nothing. I can't do anything about it. I'm just gonna lose to it. I'll just concede. You got me. Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. It's really brutal out here trying to beat PO with workshops. I mean, you can. Like I said, we won a game. It's all about a quick clock and enough block pieces, and sometimes you just don't have those, and you don't really have a lot of choices in the matter. It can also be about PO having a bad hand, right? Depending on how many clunkers are in PO's deck. So it's tough. I said the magic words, and another PO player appeared. So I can't wait to be Harkle's recalled. Let's try again. Ooh, I have the 3-ball though. That's a stealer. This is definitely a way in which we can steal a game of Magic the Gathering. Let's try it. Now this is the Shops that I know and love. This is what my Shops opponents always have against me when I'm playing PO. They're on a mold of 5, maybe looking for a force, maybe looking for, the PO hands do end up being different. Like what you can keep from PO is definitely different depending on if your opponent is Shops or not. I think I had that argument on Twitter at one point. It was like, in an open decklist format like the Mana Traders, who is getting more from knowing the opponent is on, which side of the matchup. So if like it's Shops and a PO player and both players are open decklist, who gains more information and who gains an advantage? And in my opinion, I think the PO player gains the advantage, but I think someone was arguing that maybe Shops gain the advantage because they know what hands they can't keep. But I think like most of the Shops hands that you keep are the same for every matchup besides like you need a Wasteland versus a Bazaar Baghdad, right? Like I think Bazaar loses the most in an open decklist format, but I think like Shops does lose a bit too. Anyways, side tangent. I'm slamming a 3-ball here and hoping they don't have Forcible in their 5-card hand. And even if they do, they're down to 3 cards. So if they don't have a 3-ball in this 5-card hand. If they don't have a force in their 5-card hand, then this should just be game winning. We'll see. Yep, game winning. Okay. And this is like a very good example of why Shops can win. Like, yeah, this is a thing. This is broken. My opponent is never going to cast another spell in the game as they die to stupid artifact creatures. All right, so we're bringing traps again. I still don't know about traps in general, but they're whatever. We'll bring them in. And I'm going to bring in this needle because I kind of want to be able to name Top and Saga. It's not great, but it's definitely come up a couple times now where I'm at the point where I want to try. And then 2 cards out. I'm going to take the automatons out. I think they're worse than Ravager Ballista because of Harkle's Recall. Still a little stuffed up. Sorry about that. Hopefully it comes through clear. All right, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? I found my Wastelands, which is fun. Unfortunately, I don't have enough mana to play Magic here or any spheres, so. It's not great. It's not great, but think it's a playable hand. We have Inspector Wasteland, Needle Saga, Needle Top. Are we just gonna get tinkered and die? Our opponent gonna throw it right back at us? Looks like it. Okay. Let's see what robot they have. All right, and that's how my oh, wait a second. That's not a robot. That's probably bad for me though. Like, this is just an example of why I think Mindbreak Trap is garbage. Mindbreak Trap doesn't stop this. Mana Crypt Tinker kill you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got a free win, they get a free win. The problem is they have more free wins than we do in their deck. Okay. I'm gonna play it out. Just in case. If I see a top, I'll concede. A mentor, I'll concede. But I mean, they technically can brick at any point. And I can draw, like, if I draw a sphere, like Wasteland Sphere is really strong. I mean, now I probably can't Wasteland, but maybe Wasteland Sphere is not strong. Maybe the real answer is I need to have No Rods, right? I think No Rod is the best card against PO. I still get Turkle's Recalled is the problem, though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think even when I was playing, like, at the peak of PO versus Shops meta, which was, I don't know, 2017? Maybe that's too early. Even like when what was it? It was like PO versus Shops versus Jeskai. That was a metagame for like, oh god, a long time. For a long time, the metagame was those three: PO, Shops, Jeskai. Even during that time, I don't think anyone came up with really powerful ways for aggro shops to beat a PO player who is respecting the matchup. Would I rather have 2 automatons or Cage? Oh, maybe I'm supposed to bring in Cage. I did forget about that. Like, that's the thing. Like, you bringing in Cage to beat exactly Tinker is just feels real bad. But you can get it off Saga, I guess, so maybe it's better. I'm just, like, not going to bring in these traps. I think they're just garbage. We'll just bring... Oh, maybe I'm supposed to put Crucible maybe better? I don't know. It's possible I'm making suboptimal, suboptimal things there. This hand's nice. It's got fast mana sphere, Revoker, Strip Mine, sure. Down. Definitely down. The question becomes, what are we doing? Yeah, I think we just... I think I'm still hitting Opal on the blind here. All right, they have a Force for Sphere. Pitching Time Walk. Now, the problem really here is I have just a Ballista, which is really not good enough. Yeah. All right, got the Opal hit, which is good. Small victories. 2 cards left in my opponent's hand. They do have a land that plays around Strip Mine, which is annoying. I'm looking at 8 mana for Inspector 3/3 Ballista. Hope they don't have Urkels and go to town. That's kind of the plan, I think. I definitely didn't need to play my workshop first, but it doesn't really matter. All right. I have 1 card left in my hand. I have 8 power in play and a Ballista. They have 2 mana, which is not a lot of mana. So, and at some point they're going to crack. This will probably be a basic island, though. But we have a Strip Mine. So, oh, it's going to be Tundra. That means we're getting balanced. That would be bad. That would be bad. Balance is definitely the worst outcome here. Even sword is kind of annoying. Yeah, it's balance. All right. So this is going to free their opal, kill a workshop, and get rid of a card from their hand. The good news is I do have a follow-up strip, and I have a lot of mana, but I have obviously no creature follow-ups. This is not the end of the world, though. Unless they, like, cast Ancestral after. So they had an Underground Sea. All right. Ravager. I guess I probably play Ravager before Strip Mine, but whatever. I probably play this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Small thing. All right, so they still have full fixed mana, but 2 artifacts. What's your 2 cards in hand? You kept 1 card off of balance. What do we got? Not a good draw. Probably just supposed to eat the Soul Ring for clock reasons. Okay, I don't think it matters. I can just F6 now. Our PO players have drawn many academies today. Oh, looks like Tinker Vault Key. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, I mean, PO versus Shops is not a good matchup, and it's not a strong. If you're seeing PO in the metagame, I really don't recommend playing Shops, which is another good reason not to play Shops in well, it's weird because in leagues, you sometimes you get the PO leagues, right? But sometimes you get the Dredge, the Bazaar leagues, and I kind of like the Bazaar matchup. The Bazaar matchup seemed pretty strong for us, not the Hogak matchup, like the actual factual Dredge matchup. So, I don't know. Aggro Shop still feels the same to me as it has for a long time. I don't really feel like Nettlecyst has made a huge difference in my mind. What it does is powerful, and you have powerful plays. But Hurkyl's Recall is hella good against you. And obviously, there's only one deck in the format that's really playing Hurkyl's Recall, and that's PO, and we had to pair against it 3 times, right? So we went 2-0 versus non-PO and 0-3 versus PO, which I guess is how I would draw it up. I don't know. I think that this deck wants a Thorn and Unrestriction to help with combo. But I don't even know. Is that going to be good enough? Maybe it's good enough. Like, I don't think the matchup is that bad against the other Tinker decks, right? I think it's just PO. I don't know. Let's go look, actually. I have a couple seconds here. Why not? If I go to the metagame dashboard, obviously, we won't have a huge amount of data, but Aggro Shop is one of the more played decks, so we can probably pull it up. Let's take a quick peek and see what the data is looking like so far. Workshops, shops, Aggro. My assumption is that PO is the worst matchup of the Tinker decks. But obviously, just like Tinker itself is good against Workshop. So all right, what do we have? We've got Jeskai, weird. Hogak, right. That's the biggest thing. Is I think the Hogak matchup is definitively awful for Shops, which is if there was a lot of Hogak, there's no good reason to play Shops. Aggro Shops. And Hogak is actually on the way out of the format. Like, Hogak was the peak deck for a while, but then it kind of petered off, right? So Hogak, Bug, Oath, Dredge, don't care too much about those bad matchups. PO only at 44%. Again, like, it does depend on the PO player and how much they respect the Shops matchup. Like, I have registered lists with no Hurkyl's in the main, but I've never registered lists without 3 or 4 Hurkyl's in the 75. It really depends on what the PO deck looks like, whether this is like PO favored or even kind of thing. But then you're looking at like maybe favorable matchup versus other Tinker Saga decks, favorable matchups, maybe Doomsday Breach. So it's really not that Tinker matchups are terrible. It's just that Hurkyl's Recall is a really hard card for you to beat. So And if Aggro Shops ever was extremely strong, these decks can play more Hercules Recalls. Hercules Recall is definitely worse in Doomsday and Breach than it is in PO, though. So, you know, mileage may vary. Thank you to Mark H for donating this deck list. It's good to every once in a while check up on what Aggro Shops is doing. I would still say that the Aggro Shops is a playable deck. Look, you have a very large string of favorable matchups, and the things that you're unfavorable versus... Wait, Dredge is unfavorable? I thought Dredge felt pretty good, and I cut Unlicensed Hearst. That's interesting. Again, you have to take this data with some amount of skepticism, as the number of matches are not super high. However, Aggro Shops has one of the higher, sets of data. Yeah, obviously, like some of these are really, really low, and they'll just grow with time. Then we're gonna look at trends, but not, make definitive conclusions. But almost 100 matches of PO, which I think is, starting to get towards the more reasonable side of things. Anyways, if you want to see your deck played on stream, you can do so. Check out the Patreon link in the description. And submit a Patreon donation deck list here, and you too can have your list played on stream. New vintage content Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I will see you then.